Hi guys, I've got a couple more pages in my December album today. This one here is the back of the page I had done the other day with the transparency. So as you can see, it shows through the tape quite badly from the back of those tags. So I am going to cover it up with some paper. Got a couple of photos from Snapchat. I've printed out a couple of different sizes because there's the two different size tags there, and I'm just choosing which papers I think I'm going to use. And in the end I am going to go with this sort of rainbow stripe. I think these are both quite old ones, maybe from a Kelly Perky December Daily kit, I think from a couple of years ago, maybe last year. So I'm just using my pencil and just roughing out the size of the big tag and where the wee corner pieces are going to get trimmed off. On this side of this transparency, I'm not going to worry about punching holes and putting anything onto the top of these like fake tags, because once you glue it down you can see the pieces from the other side anyway, so I think that looks quite cute as is. So I'm going to stick this down, and again it's going straight onto the back of the transparency, so I am using a slightly stronger double-sided tape just to make sure that doesn't come off at any point. And then I can, but I attempt to carefully line it up. Doesn't line up perfectly. I can't pull it off easily because I used that strong tape, so I'm just going to leave it. It's good enough for me. And then for the smaller tag, it's a little bit easier because I can grab another tag to cut out the right size and just trim that with my paper trimmer out of the second pattern paper, which is sort of like a double polka dot in green. I know, green. Who would have thought? And again with the double-sided tape, and then I'll line this one up again too, which works slightly easier because there's only one side of it there. And then I can add my photos on. This one here is a sprocket photo, so it's adhesive anyway, so I'm just going to peel the backing off and stick that down. And my other photo, I am just going to use some double-sided tape as well because again it's not in any sort of page protector, so I want it to be well stuck down. Now I don't have any like sort of mega long story or journaling for this page. It literally is just that we've been having fun sending Snapchat photos back and forward for Christmas with the sort of Christmassy filters that they've got. So I'm going to attempt to pull out this word Christmas out of this chipboard shape. So I found the easiest way was to sort of stick my fingers in from behind and kind of push it out. That seemed to work the best. And try to poke out that tiny little dot for the eye as well. So I'm not sticking that down just yet. I'm going to use these minty green alphas to spell out Snapchat, and I was slightly concerned that Snapchat wasn't going to fit in the space that I've got there above Christmas, and I'm correct, it doesn't. So I was just sticking it on a little tag first so I could see where it was going to fit. That word Christmas can't really go anywhere else apart from there, so I've just stuck that down, and I'm actually going to split the word Snapchat into two and just put one above the other. Now I could leave it as is, but I kind of feel like it needs like a little bit more embellishment, so I'm thinking I'll add something from these more chipboard shapes, and there are 3 of these little gold glittery stars, so I'm just going to add them, and again I'm just sort of pushing them out from behind. And I like 2, but I think I'm going to move this third one up here, stick those down, and that is this page all done. I knew I'd be able to fit rainbow in this album somewhere. Now again, this is the back of another page protector that I've already done, this one here, and really simple. I've got some Christmas lights. This is the first time we've really ever had a house that had somewhere to put Christmas lights, so I've put some Christmas lights up outside and just taken a really blurry photo of that. So all I'm doing is stamping a really old, I think that was from last year from Feed Your Craft, that says Twinkling Lights. Just stamp that in the Brilliance ink. And then I'm going to do the same thing I did last time, which was to draw a circle template and type my journaling, which isn't really journaling, it's a little quote I found from Studio Stationery, I think, on Instagram. And then just trim that out. But here we go, major punch fail. I totally trimmed it too short and then punched the side of it. So I wasn't really happy with it because you are going to be able to see that really clearly. There's no way of hiding it. So instead I'm just going to stick down the one I had initially punched out and run that through my typewriter, and actually that worked a lot easier than probably the way I had done it the first time. So there's a wee hint for you. I'm going to stick that down onto the transparency, and then all I've got left to do is just fill in the space where the little stickers were last time. So there's a bit of green in the light photos, so I picked out a wee green sticker, and then I'm going to add this red enamel dot just to tie in like the colours that are in that photo. And then the smaller dot, I had used a wee teal one, and it's not from that sheet, so the size was slightly different. So in the end I went back and got the same teal coloured enamel dot that I had used the first time, and that way the size was exactly the same. And then I can slip that back into my pocket. Now for my actual journeying, I want to put it on a tag. I didn't want to use this craft tag, and I'm totally out of white tags. So I'm just going to use this little piece of card and trim down the exact same size as the tag. So I don't need the tag to be that long because it's only going to fit in a 3x4 pocket anyway, so this works out nicely. I get that tag shape, but it will fit in the pocket. And I am going to punch a hole this time, because I do want it to look like an actual tag, and this is going to stick out of the pocket just a little bit. So to help pull the tag out, I am going to add some green twine. And not that the journaling's anywhere sort of near private, but I just don't want it to be sort of clashing, I guess, with the stamped text that's already on that circle. So I'm going to hide it in a little pocket. And I was just looking for some paper, and I couldn't go past this glittery paper since the little quote's talking about sparkling and there's twinkling down the bottom. So I decided to pick out this pretty blue colour, and I'm just trimming down a 3x4 piece. And then I'm going to grab just some white card. It didn't need to be the same sparkly paper to go on the back, and cutting out the same size. And then I'm going to stitch around 3 sides of that with my sewing machine, but first I'm just going to use that same punch just to punch out a little dip in the card. And then I have a little pocket that I can stick my tag into. Now I do need to trim my tag down just a little bit on the bottom because it did stick out a bit further than I had wanted it to. But I can do my journaling on that later. And then that is that page filled in. I love that quote, it's so cute. And I am in total agreement. Christmas could never be too sparkly for me. Now my last page is another super simple one. Watch how quickly this goes. Real Christmas tradition here, well certainly here for me, being in the southern hemisphere. Christmas is in summer, so nothing says Christmas to me like a bowl full of cherries. So I've printed the photo out at 6x8 because I had a gap to fill in one of my page protectors a bit further on in the album, and because I'm not sort of doing like chronological or anything in my album, this works out nicely because it doesn't matter where in the album it goes. So even though this is quite late in the month, it's going to go quite early in the album. So super simple. I had just picked out a couple of these die cuts, just was trying to work out which one I liked, and I really like this fa la la one, so I'm just going to add that with some foam squares, and I'm going to bump that up right to the edge of the page. So I just cut the other end of the banner off, pull off all those little backing squares, and then I'm just going to stick that down. The foam just adds a little bit more dimension. I mean, it does stand out from the sort of red of the cherries, but it just helps lift it a little bit. And then underneath the banner, I'm going to add a couple of these stickers. So that also helps, just like slipping them underneath there. And I want to add a third one, and I think I'm going to add it down in the sort of empty space down here. And then just add a few more enamel dots too. I mean, it's cute. I love adding all these sort of embellishments, but also I'm trying to use up some of the stash. Like, I'm not going to hoard this for any longer. I think I've had these enamel dots for 2 or 3 years anyway, so I really want to use up as much as I can this year. And then I'm just going to hand write some journaling just in a Jelly Roll pen along the sort of edge of my plate and call that page done. So I think at this point in the month, you've got to make it as simple as possible to try and get there. This will be my last video before Christmas, so I just want to wish you all a safe and Merry Christmas, and I will see you in my next video. Take care. Bye.